From the panic room at the Alamo, it's the IGN Digigods. Please welcome two men who won't talk about the time they reenacted the Russian roulette scene from The Deer Hunter, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
Gotta love anybody who sends in a Deer Hunter reference. Corey, who's that sharp fan?
That was brought to you by Stuart Moncure. Stuart Moncure cures all your ills. That's the shittiest joke you'll ever hear from me.
Oh, Obadiah.
Oh, my gosh.
Wade, your name today is Obadiah.
Yes, it is.
I've decided to call you Obadiah.
Thank you.
For the next hour.
I be Obadiah.
I don't know why that is. By the way, did you ever think to yourself, how did Bob come from Robert? How did Dick come from Richard?
Are you asking me seriously, or are these rhetorical questions?
No. Well, if you happen to know the answer, I'll take it. But
I suspect there's an intermediary. I suspect Robert becomes Bobbert and then becomes Bob. And I assume that Richard becomes Ditchard, becomes Dickard, becomes Dick.
Okay, if you have an answer to that, please email us at gods@digigods.com.
I'm sure somewhere in, Chaucer's time there was a guy named Dickard.
Or Deckard from Blade Runner.
Deckard, absolutely.
Okay, Obadiah.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyway, so we got the show to a rousing start. I can tell already.
We got swag with titles today. Here, Mark, check this out.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, check. No, seriously.
Yes, Obadiah.
First,
yes.
First I'm gonna.
By the way,
you love that I'm doing this.
Huh? Oh, I was going to vamp for time while you did what you're doing.
No. Here. This is why there's no video on the show.
You have to take the headphones off. Then it works.
No, I don't. It's better this way.
Well, Wade is wearing a green graduation cap and red Lolita glasses.
Yes, the Lolita glasses, the red 3D glasses, are from the Katy Perry concert film in 3D, which I just saw.
But the funny thing is that they are the red heart-shaped glasses from Lolita.
Yes, clearly, because no one at Paramount realized. Why would they? Lolita wasn't a Paramount film. No one at Paramount realizes that they are now asking all the little girls going to see the Katy Perry 3D film to wear the world's foremost emblem of pedophilia. It's a scandal.
That is just bizarre.
It's a scandal in the making.
I don't understand if they just think nobody will remember, or certainly fans of Katy Perry have no idea what Lolita is.
I almost have a mind to round up like 100 guys and dress them as Humbert and have them line up outside the theater as the little girls come out.
You should bring that up when you.
Gosh.
Now, are you talking about the movie
on radio on Friday? Yeah, NPR Film Week.
That's a good time to bring it up.
Yes, it is. Absolutely, it is. And of course, the green graduation cap is from the Mac and Devin Go to High School on Blu-ray, which we're going to talk about in a moment. And speaking of amazing swag, we also have a plastic ice cream scoop here.
That what? Give me this. I'm giving this away. You said nobody would want it, but you know what? Not only will I give this away, I will also pay for the shipping out of my own GD pocket.
You do that, man. You
okay,
rock
you
on.
Ready?
This is your standalone contest. I want
really
nothing
is.
to do with it.
So, I literally just pulled this out of my butt right now. This moment, it is a plastic red ice cream scoop that probably, I would imagine, will not be able to stand up to frozen ice cream. Will probably snap.
Well, let me explain the movie that it goes with
that's
first.
Fine. Go for it. And then I'll explain how people can win.
There's a John Landis executive-produced film, and John Landis just slapped his name on it. And I love John Landis, but he really just put his name on this. It stars Kevin Corrigan as a short. I'm too punchy today.
Wade has the giggles today.
The
Obadiah has the giggles today.
The movie is called Some Guy Who Kills People.
Wait, say it again?
Some Guy Who Kills People.
Hilarious.
And stars Kevin Corrigan, Barry Bostwick, and Karen Black. We all know how Karen Black and Barry Bostwick, their careers have gone. Kevin Corrigan is basically like a diner cook who chops people up. It is dark and it is modestly funny. Basically he's an ice cream guy. That's why the ice cream thing. He works for an ice cream parlor. So he chops people up and,
That's good.
you know.
All right, so can I talk about the giveaway?
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about. I mean, that's as much as we really need to say. It's called Some Guy Who Kills People, and it stars Kevin Corrigan, and he wears his little McDonald cap, and he's got a machete on the cover, and you know, I watched maybe 20 minutes of this, and if you were to say to somebody, there's a movie called Some Guy Who Kills People, starring Kevin Corrigan as an ice cream guy who murders people with a machete, whatever you're imagining in your head, that's exactly what this movie is.
It's self-explanatory.
Yes.
Okay, wait, are you done talking about that movie?
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, would you rather have the movie, or would you rather have the ice cream scoop swag that came with the movie? Okay, we have it is a red plastic ice cream scoop. On it, it says Some Guy Who Kills People on DVD July 3rd from Anchor Bay Entertainment. As I said before, this ice cream scoop looks fairly fragile. It probably will not survive some serious frozen ice cream. But you know what? Because otherwise I throw it away. You can have it. I'm giving this away to the fifth person. Wade, you can count to 5, right?
Yeah, I can count to 5.
Okay, good. The fifth person to email us at gods@digigods.com. Put the words ice cream scoop in the subject line and put your address in the body of the email, because I'm not going to chase after you for a 10-cent ice cream scoop. So I will give this thing away. It is in a cellophane wrapper, as you can probably hear. So the fifth person to email us at gods@digigods.com, put ice cream scoop in the subject line, put your name and address in the body of the email. You will get a flimsy red plastic Some Guy Who Kills People ice cream scoop.
Right on.
Go. All right.
And from 2 weeks ago, we finally secured all of our winners. I had to finally, corroborate all the addresses and whatnot, but want to shout out to our 5 winners from the musical Blu-ray competition, the musical Blu-ray giveaway. Stu Ross, Alex Hannon, Robert Barga, Jacob Schaefer, and Brian Hunt. Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations, as I used to say when I was a kid for some reason, which wasn't funny. Congratulations.
And our other title this week, the from the swag stack, which is Mac and Devin Go to High School, the movie. Is there another Mac and Devin thing that I'm not familiar with?
Is there Mac and Devin Go to High School, the TV show?
Well, this is Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa who star in this, and I'm not up on my new hip hop artists because I don't know who Wiz Khalifa is, but I certainly
I've heard of Wiz Khalifa.
But
Couldn't tell you anything about him.
I don't either. But Mike Epps is in this, and I am still a fan of Mike Epps. They seem to throw him in as just regular, generic comic relief and all these things. Anyway, this is, you know what this really is? This is kind of a sideways step from the Fridays films. So I get it. It's going after the same audience. This is from Anchor Bay. It's on Blu-ray, also on DVD, but they sent us the Blu-ray. And it's fine. It's one of those movies. It's kind of a crossover hood comedy film. And if you've seen the Fridays films, you know exactly what you're going for. And that's really why Mike Epps is in here. He kind of, he's bringing the funny for the audience that is accustomed. Because Snoop Dogg really is, he's a good actor, but he's not that funny. Snoop Dogg doesn't bring the comedy.
Snoop Dogg to me isn't really much of an actor. He's got that same very laconic, cool, stoner thing that he does.
But he was good as Huggy Bear. He was a good Huggy Bear.
It was funny casting as Huggy Bear. Yeah, that was perfect casting.
That's fine. That was good.
So can I talk about stuff that's coming out soon?
Let's
in the next couple of months? Or you want to keep going?
Let's blow through. We got this giant stack of TV that we didn't get to last week. So let's crank through the TV so we can get to the stuff that really matters. Here, this is. You do your. This is your.
What would you like me to do?
Okay. I'm divvying things up here. I'm divvying things up. Okay. GCB, the complete first season. This is as per usual. They throw this out on DVD in order to coincide with the new season, and ABC is going to shortly be kicking out new episodes of GCB, I guess, which stands for Good Christian Bells. Originally, no. Anyway, this is kind of the show that I think they were hoping would take the place of Desperate Housewives, which is a little optimistic. I don't think this show is good enough to really do that. It's kind of like a cross between Steel Magnolias and Desperate Housewives, which makes sense because it was created by Robert Harling, or co-created by Robert Harling, I should say, who wrote Steel Magnolias, as well as Darren Star, who created Sex and the City. So you kind of get a sense of the sensibilities that are going in there. It ain't Desperate Housewives. I'm a big Desperate Housewife fan. Not so much keen on this one. Kristen Chenoweth is amusing, but the show has to really, really improve to get my juices flowing. Also out here we have Season 5 of Burn Notice. and the complete third season of White Collar. These are both USA shows that totally typify what USA is trying to do, a very kind of upscale, older, yuppie-something audience for shows about sophisticated crooks and criminals and cops and the whole, intrigue, where the intrigue is a little bit more, white collar. And, as opposed to the grunge of TNT. That's what they're going for. TNT is down and dirty, so USA is trying to be a little bit more sophisticated and upscale, get the BMW commercials while TNT gets the beer commercials. I guess that's the plan. Anyway, these shows are perfectly fine. If you've seen them, you know what they are. I don't need to remind you. We're in the third and fifth season here by this point. A few commentaries, a few extras, but, pretty much otherwise, if you haven't bought them until now, you're not going to want to.
Wait, a couple of older shows from Comedy Central. We have from 2006, Dog Bites Man. Now, this show, right up my alley, this is a kind of a partially improvised, partially scripted show about a local news team, KHBX, and it's from 2006. It stars Zach Galifianakis before he really kind of started to hit. And this is back when I was seeing him do stand-up at Largo in L.A., which is hilarious. If you've ever seen Zach live, he's unbelievably funny. Anyway,
he's always funny. He's funny even when he's not live.
That is true. The show was never quite as funny as it should have been, even though I love the milieu that they're operating in. But it does have some bite. I thought some of it was pretty entertaining, some funny stuff, especially the improvised stuff, especially Galifianakis improvising is always funny. And, it didn't really last that long. In fact, I think it lasted only one season. But actually it did, because this is the complete series of Dog Bites Man. If you like kind of that Anchorman thing, this is not Anchorman. But if you like that Anchorman thing, and it does have Galifianakis in it, you may want to give this a rental because, it's not that bad. David Alan Grier starred in a short-lived show called Chocolate News. And here it's kind of a black-themed spoof of TV news magazines. And Grier is funny, but his humor is much broader, I think, than the humor in the Dog Bites Man.
Yeah.
So it didn't really last that long, and Grier, I think, is kind of like a little bit...
I'm just noticing A.D. Miles is in Dog Bites Man.
Huh?
A.D. Miles is in Dog Bites Man.
Who's that?
A.D. Miles is one of Jimmy Fallon's writers and one of his crew now.
Wow.
He's on the Jimmy Fallon show.
I did not know that.
He's a good guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chocolate News, it's much broader in its comedy, but it is kind of funny. It's not as biting as Dog Bites Man. But, it's not bad. Chocolate News, I can't say deserved to go to a second season.
I like David Alan Grier. He didn't have the career he's deserved now.
Also from Comedy Central, we have a Freak Show. This is another show that didn't go too far, so Comedy Central is releasing the entire series on DVD. Freak Show is it's an animated series about these, I don't know, what do you say, superhero carnival freaks. Half woman, half clam.
Sure.
Something's kind of funny. The half woman, half clam, the log cabin Republican.
Ah, yes, okay.
The world's tallest Nebraskan. It's funny. It's David Cross had a big part in this creation of this. The voice acting is good. Jeanine Garofalo, Will Arnett, Bob Odenkirk. The thing is that it's so kind of out there that I just think it might have been way too trippy for this. This might have worked. This thing's from 2006. It might have worked today as an Adult Swim thing.
Yeah.
It might have been a few years ahead of its time, but in 2006 it really didn't work. And finally, we have the complete series. Now, this is really one of the great abortions of television, I have to say.
Oh, I remember that show.
In the 1980s...
Oh, that was bad.
There was a short-lived Casablanca TV series.
With David Soul.
David Soul.
Oh, my gosh. What were they thinking?
David Soul played Rick Blaine and the American expatriate living in Africa. And...
You know what I think?
Hector Elizondo was
Scatman Crothers was on this too, and a very, very young Ray Liotta, like a crazy young Ray Liotta. Here's where I think that show evolved from. There was this moment where you remember every time there's a hit movie, they try to turn it into a TV series, like TV series. You hear me?
You drunk, Wade?
Kind of.
Are you drunk, Obadiah?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Pa. Remember, Star Wars, we go to Battlestar Galactica, and then, we had Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then they tried doing Tales of the Gold Monkey, and there was another one. What was the other one? Tales of the Gold Monkey, and there was another one of those shows that was kind of trying to be a television Indiana Jones. And I think this was an outgrowth of those.
Oh, wait a minute. I think I know what you're talking about, the old Indiana Jones. It was like...
there was one with Stephen Collins and another one with Bruce Boxleitner. Bruce Boxleitner was in one and Stephen Collins was the other. I can't remember the Bruce Boxleitner one. It wasn't like Alan
Quartermain. They didn't make
it was like a straight-up attempt at doing two... And they both flopped. They both came out the same season. It was kind of the Munsters and Addams Family scenario. It was two parallel shows on a dead-end trajectory. Anyway,
this is terrible. There's only 5 episodes on this whole disc. After which the thing was mercifully canceled. The only one worth watching was directed by Mel Stewart, who also directed Willy Wonka.
Nice.
That was good.
Damages, the complete 4th season. This is apparently only on DirecTV.
Yeah, Tales of the Gold Monkey. Tales of the Gold Monkey was Stephen Collins.
Yes, and the one with Bruce Boxleitner I can't remember. So get on that while I talk about Damages. Damages, the complete 4th season. Another great television turn for Glenn Close, who just recently got an Oscar nomination once again, putting her back in the Oscar mix for Albert Nobbs. I don't know if that's going to necessarily resurrect her film career, but it should, because she's been so good on television in recent years. And even starting with The Shield, she was just great on that. Anyway, Damages is really sharp. This is the 4th season, and
oh, I know what it is.
What?
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Bring 'Em Back Alive.
Bring 'Em Back Alive.
Wasn't that it?
No.
No?
No.
I remember that show.
Bring 'Em Back Alive? No.
Yeah, Bring 'Em Back. He played Frank Buck from 1982. He's like a great white hunter.
No, that wasn't it.
No?
No. Sorry. Try again.
Lives in Singapore, colonial Singapore.
Yeah. Bring 'Em Back Alive.
That was the name of the show, Bring 'Em Back Alive.
No, that's not the name of the show. It's incorrect.
Okay, Star Wars.
Gods at Digigods.com. Anyway, Damages, Glenn Close, high-powered lawyer, and this gets into political stuff. Is what this gets into. The issue here is specifically a kind of corruption related to Afghanistan, and so you have John Goodman as the heavy, and he really overplays the heavy a little bit. Just the picture of him on here shows how he plays the part. I love John Goodman, but it's
not Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
No, definitely not. Anyway, decent show, but Glenn Close is a total standout and a real star on the show.
It was Bring 'Em Back Alive.
It might be, but that's a terrible title, and I'm sure it was titled something else. Tyler Perry's House of Pain, Volume 9. I don't like how they do this volume stuff with this show. It's not a very good show. We've ripped on this before. 3 discs, bunch of episodes that are just agonizingly not funny, and no extras. So watch it at your own risk. Law and Order: Criminal Intent, the 7th year. This is the 2008-2009 season. And here's what makes me really happy about the way they've pushed the direction of Criminal Intent is that they brought Chris Noth back. And Chris Noth was originally on the original Law and Order, not Criminal Intent. Years ago in the earliest incarnations of regular Law and Order, Chris Noth was on the show, and now they bring him back and they push him over to Criminal Intent to kind of balance out the Vincent D'Onofrio angle, and it's terrific. I love what they did with this show. I think they pushed it in a great new direction. I miss Jeff Goldblum, frankly, who was cool for a second and a half on this show.
He's awesome.
But you know what? Somehow and you know what I think the secret is to all the Law and Order shows?
It's a formula. It's a format.
It's not just the formula. I've watched enough of them because my wife is insane for Law and Order and is happy that you can pretty much find an episode of Law and Order on television at any hour of the day. It's true. You can find you just
TBS. Isn't it on like TBS, TNT?
USA, and a million other. It pretty much no matter where somewhere you'll find a Law and Order episode on. It's impossible. You can't get away from them. But here's the secret: they play these things to the hilt, to the melodramatic hilt. I mean, it's really melodramatic. But the reason you don't let it the reason it's convincing is the music, because they have that really eerie, ominous, David Lynchy kind of. It's just really just intense, serious, depressing music. It never lets you get to that emotional level where you go, this is cheesy. The music is what holds you down. It tamps everything down. It's really smart.
You know what I'm watching now? I'm watching Bruce Boxleitner save Cindy Morgan in a 1982 episode of Bring 'Em Back Alive.
I just cannot believe that was the title.
I remember it. I totally remember it. I mean, vaguely,
so
not like,
That's so strange. Well, anyway.
It's awesome.
Also have a couple of new Blu-rays for the Sharp British adventure shows here. One is Sharp's Company and Sharp's Enemy, together on one Blu-ray. These are from BFS. And the other is Sharp's Rifles and Sharp's Eagle. If you haven't watched these, it's pretty great stuff. It's all Napoleonic era. Sean Bean is the mighty soldier fighting the evil forces of Napoleon. And it's great stuff. You know, the shows are kind of threadbare budgeting for period television stuff, but somehow, you know, the English production value really, really just it pushes it to where it needs to be. The writing is sharp, and these are a lot of fun. So if you're a fan of the sharp stuff, remember, it didn't look that great on DVD to begin with. It's pretty grainy, but the Blu-ray definitely does push it up a notch. Not that it removes the problems with the original bad photography, but the color saturation is better, and the color makes a difference on this show. So from that standpoint, I think the Blu-rays are definitely a step up.
Oh, Entourage on Blu-ray. This is the 8th and final season of the show. And, you know, people love the show. I think 8 seasons is plenty. Even the Ari Gold character, who I thought was absolutely fantastic, and I've said it before, reminds me of my former agent at ICM. Total, complete, and utter, like, Ari, as played by Jeremy Piven, he is an agent. The end. He is the ultimate
it's true.
agent.
He does.
It's a great, great characterization. My agent was just like him. Actually, the whole series ends on a bit of a cliffhanger involving Ari, but I won't tell you what it is because you're going to check out Entourage Season 8. It was about time this show was really kind of ready to go. TNT, the complete first season of Franklin and Bosch. I think it's Bash or Bosch. I can't remember.
Bash.
Franklin and Bash.
It's an okay show.
Yeah, it's an okay show. You know what? It's one of those like kind of light comedy show about the
Yeah, we're like young. We're hip attorneys. We play hard and we work hard. It's one of those shows.
We say snarky things in court to the judge because we're hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
This strikes me as like a courtroom version of Chips. It is, you know, and that's what Chips was all about. We work hard and we play hard. Look at this 18-car pileup. You know what we do after we solve an 18-car pileup? Thanks to a cocaine guy who's driving at 95 miles an hour down the 405, we go down to the disco and we shake it.
No, but this one has much more sarcastic, trying to be funny language in it.
It does.
But, you know, you can't really fault the guest stars. Malcolm McDowell's a regular on the show. Love Malcolm McDowell. Bo Bridges, Tom Arnold, Jason Alexander, Harry Hamlin.
Yeah.
So it's good stuff. The show itself, it's a little too trying to be smart for my taste.
Well, it's like a Glenn Gordon Karen show without the sexual tension. It's a buddy tension. I mean,
there's sexual tension.
Oh, really? Oh, my goodness. No, you know, it's like, I mean, Karen did that with Moonlighting, and he did it before that with the, what was the Stephanie Zimbalist thing?
Heart to Heart?
No. With Stephanie Zimbalist and Pierce Brosnan. What was that? Remington Steele.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that kind of, they're going for that. They're not quite achieving it. You know what? The first season of Episodes is pretty great, I got to tell you. I really thought after Joey went off the air, I thought there's no way that Matt LeBlanc will ever be able to carry a show. They're just going to have to stick him into an ensemble somewhere again. He just doesn't have the charisma. But you know what? Shoot me. He totally carries this show, and he carries it because he's friggin' playing himself, which is rather remarkable. You know, Matt LeBlanc doing a great job of playing himself. Who knew? So this is kind of a weird. I guess 30 Rock may be in some way responsible for doing this because 30 Rock tries to take you behind the scenes of a Saturday Night Live type show and behind the scenes of the operations of a network and all that nonsense. And that's kind of what they're doing here is that Matt LeBlanc playing himself, and this is all about the machinations of turning a British sitcom into an American sitcom with him as the star. So they're going for kind of a similar flavor but a little edgier because it's on Showtime. But I actually thought it was terrific, and there's some great performances with the supporting cast here. John Pankow, absolutely terrific. Stephen Mangan, just terrific. So really kind of a fun show. Richard Griffiths even shows up here. So I think this is good. I think there's a lot of promise in this show going forward. Episode, Season 1.
All right, Obadiah, whatever you say.
You got to believe it. And then Scandal, the complete first season. This is if you've noticed that Grey's Anatomy has kind of been dropping off in quality a little bit, the primary reason is probably because everybody who was really basically Shonda Rhimes and her whole primary creative crew, they stepped away from Grey's Anatomy and started up Scandal. So Grey's Anatomy has kind of been run by the B crew now, while Rhimes and her A-list are over on Scandal. I'll say this about it. I think that it's, for a show that tries to sort of take you back into the ins and outs of Washington since The West Wing, the first one since The West Wing, to really go to that place, I think it's respectable. I think Kerry Washington is a great actress. I have loved her ever since Mother and Child. Did you see Mother and Child with
Yeah,
Annette
good
Bening?
stuff.
Friggin' Kerry Washington rocked that movie. She
Yep.
is the unsung heroine of that movie. And she's great here. She holds this thing down to a just pitch-perfect key. But the show is a little bit uneven, but I cut it some slack. It's the first season, so let's see where it goes in the next season. A lot of great bonus features here, good featurettes, good behind-the-scenes stuff. Gives you a good sense of what a professional Rhimes is and how she really kind of pours everything into the making of these shows.
You know it. Wade, those who've seen Ted, the Seth MacFarlane comedy, which I liked, might recognize something very similar in Wilfred. Wilfred is a FX show.
Weirdest show.
You know what? I tell you what saves
It's
the
originally
show.
an Australian show, and I could see it working in Australia. I guess I don't get it. Whatever.
Well, I don't mind the show, and I think it's a triumph of tone over anything else, because a lot of the humor is sexy and scatological and sort of that stuff you'd expect. But it does have a certain kind of sweetness to it, almost like a very, very cut-rate Wes Anderson-ness to it that I kind of like.
Yeah.
So the show, while certainly not perfect, is really kind of an interesting little thing. Now, FX is kind of they were known for their 1 hour dramas that are out there. Now they're kind of getting into the half-hour comedy stuff. So I think Wilfred's definitely worth a sample. If you haven't seen it, it's on FX, and it stars Frodo.
Frodo and his dog. A couple of great actresses in some decent series here. Ashley Judd in the first season of Missing, which is going to kick off again on ABC shortly. This again, I'll cut it some slack because it's the first season. And because Ashley Judd is such a terrific actress, I just don't know where they're going to be able to take this. It reminds me a lot of all of those old, remember, not just The Fugitive, but there was Run for Your Life with Ben Gazzara.
And there was a Bring Him Back Alive.
And thank you. And they were and that kind of dovetailed into The Incredible Hulk a little bit. They were all of these sort of men on the run shows. And there's a tease to it that I thought was kind of not fair, which is that that you're never actually going to reach any kind of closure because then the show ends. So every week you're watching it hoping something will happen, but in your heart of hearts, in your gut and in your head, nothing's going to happen. They might get a clue or two, but you're never, ever, ever going to close that hole. There's never going to be closure. So that being said, I think this show has some of the same problems. But I like the backdrop. I like the fact that it's very exotic. I think it's got a nice foreign location. I like the fact that it's got high production value and it's got a little bit of an espionage angle to it. And so fair enough. Mother on the quest to get her child back. That's great, but it's still, don't expect this thing to reach any kind of closure. It's cool international espionage type show, but ultimately it's still one of those person on the run shows. And then Lisa Kudrow in Web Therapy, again a first season show, July 2nd, which is effective immediately. This comes back on Showtime. I like Lisa Kudrow a lot. I think she's terrific. I think the cavalcade of guest stars here is equally terrific, especially Rashida Jones and Lily Tomlin and Courtney Cox, of course, who she has great chemistry with, going all the way back to Friends. But when I see shows about therapists, I always think about the Bob Newhart Show. And I'm like, this turns it into like an online therapist, so it tries to have a little bit more of a cyber angle. But you know what? I'm sorry. The Bob Newhart Show was the best of all of those, and you just can't make the comparison. So I'm hoping, second season will bring some changes that'll set it on a better course.
No, when I think of therapist, I think of the Saturday Night Live Jeopardy episode with Sean Connery, where Sean Connery says, "I'll take the rapist for $500." That's therapist, Sean.
That's not what you said to your mother. I know that's not the line, but
Good job.
Thank you.
Oh, HBO, their original films are always very good, and this one is good too. It's Too Big to Fail. Too Big to Fail is about the financial crisis, and this was directed by Curtis Hanson, who is a great director who really has fallen in a bit of a rut. This is the first decent thing he's done in a long time.
I don't think he's fallen into a rut per se. I think he's just sort of lost his ambition. It's not like he's not executing. It's just when he picks some of the projects he's been picking are interesting more to him than to anybody else.
Well, then if it's interesting to him, that's fine. But the thing is, he has to make it interesting to us.
I know. I hear
you. And anyway, it's all about the Wall Street scandal. And here we have. It's funny. Part of the fun of the film is playing like, oh, who's that? Oh, look, it's Ed Asner as Warren Buffett. Wow, yeah. It's Tony Shalhoub as John Mack. It's Evan Handler as the Goldman Sachs chief, whatever his name was. Oh my God, it's Bill Pullman as Jamie Dimon. Anyway, so it's good stuff. The thing with the film is that it's obviously very, very talky, and Hansen realizes that it's very talky, so he does that kind of Aaron Sorkin thing where he just has people speak very dramatically, like
yep.
If we don't solve this problem, there's no America on Monday. And it's lines like that while they stride purposefully down hallways and talk. But it's a great script. There's nothing wrong with the script at all. It's written by actually Andrew Ross Sorkin. And actually, it's based on the book by Andrew Ross Sorkin. It's written by this guy, Peter Gould. But it's really not bad. Too Big to Fail. Also, Workaholics Season 1 and 2. Workaholics is a Comedy Central dealie. And it's a pretty bad show. Pretty not funny. I don't know what to tell you. These guys are telemarketers, and they do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Enough said.
It's a decent Blu-ray, though. There's bloopers and cast interviews and deleted scenes, and I think the guys all got together at Bonnaroo, the music festival, so that was like whatever. Anyway, I don't like this show, Seasons 1 and 2, on a single Blu-ray because the show is so bad they cannot sell them on separate season Blu-rays.
Got three here from three classic TV shows from the Paramount CBS Films library, the sixth season of Dynasty. Now, this is an interesting thing they're doing. We've always complained about how they come out with Volume 1 and Volume 2 of a season. It's just give me the full season, would you? Don't make me split a season into two halves. Otherwise, you might as well just release individual episodes on DVDs. So what they've done is they still have Dynasty, the sixth season, Volume 1 and Volume 2 as separate packages, but they're shrink-wrapped together as if this is one title. So clearly, people in the marketing department are realizing that this is wearing thin on the fans, and that if they want to clear these things off the shelves, they better stop that tease. So Dynasty, the sixth season, both volumes together, is out there. Lola Falana is fabulous. Everybody else is getting old. Mannix, the seventh season.
Yeah, it's lame.
Is what I like.
There's
Mannix.
There's a much better 70s detective show
yeah.
that we will talk about in mere moments.
Okay. We will indeed in mere moments. This is the seventh season of Mannix. I like Mannix. I never loved Mannix because Mike Connors is, he wears a tie and he smokes a lot. And, you could be a better cop than that. Not really digging the sideburns either. But he was a big deal in the 70s, man. It was a big deal show, and it still kind of holds up, not as well as it should. But you know what? This is the show of shows, starring a guy who had won an Oscar by this point and a guy who would go on to win an Oscar. We're talking about Season 3 of The Streets of San Francisco.
Yeah, love The Streets of San Francisco.
Mark was humming this tune
It's got a great theme.
You were tweaking with it and giving it lyrics, and it was kind of disturbing. Anyway, this is Season 3. 2 volumes, but they're being released the same week. Now, we did not receive them shrink-wrapped together, so I don't know whether or not they are being sold as a package by Paramount and CBS. They may be, but they are at least released the same week, so you don't have to wait. The tease is over here as well. You know what I love about this show more than anything? This may be my favorite Quinn Martin show. I love
totally.
Barnaby Jones. I certainly like the FBI, but this is the one where I really felt like when they say a Quinn Martin production, prologue, epilogue, Act 1, when that announcer comes out with all that stuff,
Yep.
I really felt like this was going to deliver.
Yep.
This is the show that really delivered, and it was down, and it was dirty, and it was gritty, and they did such a great job of capturing the... Thank you, Mark. Mark's rocking out to the theme. Great opening, great use of the locations in San Francisco. Terrific show. Really, it's the best. And
I'm not done yet.
I know.
Here it is. Here comes the big song.
Oh dear. There you go. It's so 70s, man. It just rocks. It's so French Connection, except it's set in San Francisco. It's like French Connection meets Dirty Harry. That's what it is. Anyway, terrific show. If you haven't gotten the first 2 seasons, get them. The third season is even better. It just, Alcatraz was a location in this third season. You know that? Okay, are you done?
Wait, the song's over in 20 seconds.
Oh,
you ready?
my gosh. Yeah, here we go. Today's guest star. Yeah, and that's where they would do it. Tonight's guest star, Leslie Nielsen. All right, beautiful. All right, Mark.
Who's
Yes.
that guy who used tonight's guest star, Bradford Dillman? Remember Bradford Dillman starred
Yes.
all those shows? Oh my God,
He
that's
was
just horrible.
something back in the day.
Bradford Dillman?
Yeah.
That guy did every
And Gary
one
Collins.
of those shows. And
Gary Collins and Marianne Mobley. No one knows who they are
and
anymore.
Meredith Baxter Burney.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Bradford
Meredith Baxter
Dillman.
Burney, who's gay now, right? Didn't she come out?
Did she really?
Yeah.
I did not know
She
that.
divorced David Burney and came out.
Wow.
Or something like that. Anyway. So we're gonna read some listener mail in a moment, but
That's great.
before we hit listener mail, Mark, it's Criterion time.
Is there a song for this?
No,
You
there
said like
isn't.
there's a song for
I
it.
know, like it'd be a Vox box. No, it's Criterion time.
It's up. Can't do it.
We got a couple of Soderbergh Criterions that Mark will talk about in a moment. But first, I'm going to rave about the Blu-ray of Alfred Hitchcock's The 39 Steps. This is just pristine, fantastic 1935 classic Hitchcock. This is one of the Hitchcock films from his British days that really just set the world on fire and got him the call to come to Hollywood and do a few films for David O. Selznick, starting with Rebecca in 1940. So 39 Steps is just a sensational film starring Robert Donat as a guy who,
Robert Donut?
Donat.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah,
Robert Donut.
Goodbye, Mr. Chips, Robert Donat.
Oh, Robert Donut.
Yes, Robert Donat.
Is he a crawler?
Oh, absolutely. But anyway, it's kind of a North by Northwest plot. He happens on this conspiracy. The whole thing takes place in Scotland, and it's really terrific. Forget about the novel that this thing is based on, the John Buchan novel. Doesn't matter. The novel is really, in my opinion, not that great. The movie is such an improvement, and what an unbelievable collection of extras. The transfer goes without saying. It is sensational. Even the mono track is just great in terms of audio. Marion Keene, a scholar on Alfred Hitchcock, does a terrific audio commentary that goes into a great amount of detail that you're not going to get in any other Hitchcock commentary. Even if you think you've heard a lot of stuff on other commentaries for Hitchcock films, forget about it. Marion Keene does a great job here. An unbelievably intense British documentary called Hitchcock: The Early Years from about 10 years ago. It talks all about those films that most people have not seen, which are the war years stuff, all of the pre-Hollywood stuff. And you get a television interview from 1966 with Hitchcock, the 1937 Lux Radio Theater adaptation of 39 Steps with Ida Lupino and Robert Montgomery, and essays and audio excerpts from Francois Truffaut's 1962 interviews, which are just so intriguing. I had to read that book, the Truffaut-Hitchcock book. I had to read that in school in my Hitchcock class. As great as that is, when you actually hear the interviews, it just brings it home so much more. You get Truffaut's reverence and his respect, and you get Hitchcock's just...
While you're seeing...
Oh, it's just his pompous ways. It's so fantastic. And then some of the earliest Criterions released. These were originally numbered 14, 15, and 16 in the original Criterion DVD release, are the samurai films, which are legendary. These films are legendary. Hiroshi Inagaki's Samurai Trilogy, the first of which was a big Oscar winner. It was the film that sort of precipitated the Foreign Language Academy Award category, believe it or not. And then it took like 50 years before a Japanese film would actually win the award outright. But there was a special award to Samurai the year before they created the Foreign Language category. Because this film was such a huge deal. So anyway, they are finally on Blu-ray, all three of them, one Blu-ray set. They're not putting out separate Blu-rays for them. They're all together here. Not a lot of extras, but it shouldn't matter. They've done a whole new digital restoration on these, all new soundtracks, and there are some good interviews here and some trailers, and that's about it. But ultimately, you want to get this just because on Blu-ray, it's like reliving these films from the time they were originally released. I mean, it is just unbelievable. This is the Japanese new wave, never been better.
Wade, there are two more Criterions I'd like to highly recommend. This is a sort of these are bookends, I guess you could say. Of the,
Soder bookends, we would call them.
He didn't retire. He's
I
not
know.
retiring. Stop saying you're retiring.
He keeps saying it. He's saying like after he couldn't get his Cleopatra musical on with Beyonce going, so instead he made his male stripper movie, and now I guess he's going to do one more and retire.
Well, that's a huge that thing opened for him. That thing opened huge.
I know, Magic Mike.
Anyway, Soderbergh, as you know, likes to do one for him and one for us, I guess. And he did 2 bookend films about Spalding Gray, the tragic, brilliant monologist. The first one I want to talk about is Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy is from 1997, and in 1993, Spalding Gray did a stage play, a monologue, about his... he had an eye condition that was very rare and very troubling and very difficult to treat, and he wound up turning it into this amazing meditation on being sick and dying and medicine and all this stuff. And so Soderbergh shot it, and he cut it into a great little movie called Grey's Anatomy. And that was from 1997. Now,
and let me tell you something about this movie. I saw this at the American Film Market at the time, and I thought that is the most self-indulgent, boring monstrosity I've ever seen. It's just basically a lot of interviews with Spalding Gray with a lot of kaleidoscopic crap going on in the background. And after Spalding Gray went and offed himself, I feel so damn guilty. I feel so guilty. I'm like, oh my gosh, he was crying out for help in that film, and I was dismissive. I didn't realize it was the whole movie is like a cry for help.
Well, it turns
I feel
out
so guilty now. I do. I look at this movie and it's poignant.
Well,
at the time, I
yes.
was like, what a pile.
Well, it turns out that if you don't already know, I guess you do now. Gray was a very troubled, possibly mentally ill person, and he tried to kill himself a number of times. And in 2004, he succeeded. He threw himself into either the East River or the Hudson River?
Something like that, yeah.
Something in New York. So he died. He killed himself in 2004, finally succeeding. So Soderbergh went back, and in 2010 created sort of the bookend version of the Spalding Gray story called And Everything is Going Fine. And Everything is Going Fine is a compilation piece where he kind of pieces together all this footage of Gray taken from interviews that he did back in the day, from all the one-man shows that he did throughout his career. And it is a great portrait of Spalding Gray, a brilliant and troubled man. And it's a bit of a loss.
It's a huge loss.
Gray was, he's one of those guys where when you think about Spalding Gray, you think he's one of those Upper West Side, New Yorker Magazine, Pinky in the Air museum pieces.
Yeah.
But he's actually funny and he's insightful. And
he's what I wish Garrison Keillor were. If Garrison Keillor were Spalding Gray, I'd feel much safer in his presence.
Garrison Keillor for so many. I was like, you know what? I don't want to watch that claptrap, but I listened to it and I kind of got hooked.
Speaking of Garrison Keillor, I was watching this show on Nat Geo the other day about Bigfoot. That's the joke. That's it. That doesn't really go anywhere after that.
Yeah. Didn't really go anywhere.
When did Nat Geo become like the Bigfoot Loch Ness Monster and Alien Invasion channel?
Because you know why? It's easy to market.
We're like the safaris, and here are the birds and the penguins and the migrations of North America. Now it's all. I mean, literally, I watched a whole half hour of them analyzing that famous Zapruder film type thing of Bigfoot walking, where they're looking at the joints and they have like experts analyzing it and saying these could not be the physical biomechanics of a human being in a suit because the shoulders would not contract on the weight spinal column the way that the feet coagulate with the machuba. I'm sorry, it's a guy in a suit.
Look,
I'd love to believe in Bigfoot as much as the next guy, but it's a guy in a suit.
Thing is that
they have the guys go out and they lay out bait in the woods, so that when Bigfoot comes along to grab the bait, he jumps up and a needle will snatch a piece of his fur, so they have a DNA sample. And I'm thinking, okay, if you're doing this, why not set up a few cameras while you're at it? Why not have it? Why not the little once he grabs it, whatever snatches a little bit of his fur? Why not have that trigger a camera so we get friggin' photographic proof for a change? You boneheads, Nat Geo. Give me a break.
Well, first of all, if you look at networks like Bravo. Look what Bravo used to be. Bravo was called Bravo because it was like an arts and entertainment channel.
A&E was all that arts and entertainment.
Yeah.
All A&E does now is like hoarders and
MTV was about music.
Yeah.
It all changes.
Everything goes white trash eventually.
Exactly. And by the way, here's the thing with Bigfoot too. I want to know when the first Bigfoot sighting was. Because
Sasquatch. Indians were talking about Bigfoot.
But okay, well, are there many big feet, or is it one Bigfoot who I guess is ageless because they've
You've seen Harry and the Hendersons,
You imagine.
Okay, we got some new movies here. We talked previously about Wrath of the Titans, the 3D monstrosity, they sent us as well. Since we covered the last one, because apparently they liked us lambasting it so much, they sent us a combo pack of the regular Blu-ray, DVD, and Ultraviolet, not in 3D, apparently thinking that if it weren't in 3D, we might actually like it. Mark, it's a masterpiece. It's
it really
brilliant.
is the best film I've ever seen.
Outstanding. It changes so much. Also, in a Blu-ray, DVD, and digital copy set, not Ultraviolet, mind you, this is just the old school, outdated digital copy that nobody wants anymore. From 20th Century Fox is Mirror Mirror, with a lenticular cover that shows you both Julia Roberts. If you turn it one way, there's Julia Roberts as the evil queen, and you flip it back the other way. Look, there's Phil Collins' daughter as Snow White.
Aww.
Lily Collins, who looks way too much like her dad. She's got her dad's eyebrows. We got to do
No,
something
she's
about that.
cute.
She is cute, but the eyebrows too thick. Got to work on those. I like her. The problem is the movie is just horrendous. It's really stupid. Tarsum, who now goes by his full name, Tarsum Singh Dawar, however you pronounce it.
Well, he should. You know why? Because otherwise he'll wind up being McGee.
Yeah, well, Tarsum...
Use your name.
Tarsum has the same problem. He comes, he started off with The Cell, and then he made, whatever that film I'm forgetting the name of. And he just comes from commercials, and he brings all this visual flash and sizzle. And this movie, it's not there. He thinks he's making The Princess Bride. There's no humor. Tarsum has no capacity for humor. This is really a horrible misfire. The only thing that almost keeps it afloat is the fact that a few members of the supporting cast. Well, no, let me take that back. Nathan Lane. Pretty much carries the film.
Yeah.
Nathan Lane is hysterical in the film, but he's working so hard, and it gets sad at a certain point. And then we also have The Hunter, which I think is outstanding. This thing has been on VOD. It was on VOD before it was even in theaters. This is from Magnolia. This is the Blu-ray. I did not expect to like this movie. I think it is insanely good. The plot is something we've seen before. It's a hunter becomes the hunted, a guy who has no soul becomes a guy who has soul. The hunter becomes the defender and the protector. We've all seen that trajectory a million times. But here it is done in such a fascinating way. Willem Dafoe plays a mercenary who's supposed to execute a job in Tasmania, of all places, of all exotic places, and winds up kind of falling for the people there. What's interesting is the mission he's on. You ever heard of the Tasmanian tiger?
No.
Tasmanian tiger is an extinct marsupial. It's an example of what I think they call parallel evolution, because it looks like a hyena or a wolf or some kind of a dog creature, but it's not. It's a marsupial. It actually belongs. It's closer to kangaroos and koala bears than it is to the dog and coyote and wolf family. But yet it evolved in exactly the same way, except it's got a pouch and it's marsupial, and its jaw can open wider. It's like almost 180 degrees it can open its jaw. And there's black and white footage of these things before they were extinct from like the 19-teens. And every once in a while somebody thinks that they've sighted one, and they're very rare. And he's hired by some nameless corporation to go and basically kill the last one and bring its genetic material back. And winds up falling into this
Falling in love.
Not falling in love. Not falling in love. Well, there's a family that he stays with, and there's the political things that are going on in this local area in Tasmania between environmentalists and loggers put him in the middle of a local kind of conflict of crisis, conflict of conscience. And it's really just an outstanding film, so well done, so beautifully made, and so well acted by Willem Dafoe. It's all in his eyes, very little dialogue. I love this movie, The Hunter. Definitely check it out, especially on Blu-ray. So well shot. So well shot. Did I mention how well shot this movie is?
No.
It is incredibly well photographed.
Is it well shot?
Well shot.
Wow. Oh, God Bless America is the latest film from Bobcat Goldthwait. We've talked about Bobcat and how I think that he has carved himself a very interesting niche as a director, and I was really looking forward to God Bless America, and then I saw it and I really didn't like it. It certainly has the makings of a good film. It's about a guy named Frank who's pretty much had enough of American culture, so he decides to go on a rampage and kill anybody who he disagrees with. And he goes on this killing spree, accompanied by this young girl named Roxy, and they sort of share, the same sense of, anger and disenfranchisement with how the culture's going. And, I'm all about a movie where a guy just completely flips out on how we just like worship the VH1 reality shows and whatnot.
Totally.
The thing is that the script really from co-written by actually it was written by Goldthwait, but the problem is that the movie is pretty much just these extended monologues where I get a sense that it's not what the character hates about America, it's what Bobcat hates about America. And you got to take that and you got to put it into a framework where I care about the characters, I care what they're doing, I believe what they're doing, but it really just winds up being this like 90-minute harangue against a culture, which, and by the way, I agree with everything he says. That's not the issue. The issue is, does it make a movie? And I think that Goldthwait, the reason why he's able to make the films he wants is because he works with no budgets.
Yep.
Sometimes he hires his crew literally from Craigslist.
There's a terrific essay that he wrote. Gosh, what site was that on? Was that on?
That was on terrificsite.com.
Yeah, thank you. No, I'm wondering. I think it may have been on Salon. Don't quote me on that. But there's a great kind of editorial essay that he wrote where he goes into why he sort of left Hollywood and let go of what he was, and he's now kind of found his soul and found his calling in making low budget films. And he makes fun of his old self, the Police Academy self, and it was very, very, very revelatory and self-analytical. And I think it's great reading. Anybody who sort of even harbors any kind of illusions or delusions about the film industry should read it. They really should. It's very, very honest. It's one of the most honest things I think I've ever seen.
I really wish also, as this film kind of started to fray at the edges and then eventually fall apart, I do wish that he had more of a budget. It's it's really hard to get over the fact that he just has no money.
I know.
In the film, there's this American Idol type reality competition show, and a lot of the film revolves around it. And at the climax of the film, they actually go to a taping of this American Idol, show, and it's just really hard to why even write this into the script when you know that the best you can do to simulate an American Idol show where $500,000, millions of dollars are spent on one episode, and there's 10,000 people in the audience. The best you can do is shoot at the Steve Allen Theater down the street with 20 extras.
I know.
I mean, it just undermines what you're trying to do. Don't even make that part of your film. It just really takes you out of it. And I know there's nothing you can do, but the one thing you can do is you can just not write those sorts of scenes.
I'm with you.
Because if you write a scene like that, you're going to wind up with what you have at the end of God Bless America, which is you just roll your eyes and go, really?
We're going to get into some classic movies here in a moment, but first I want to hit a few very important foreign titles. One is the Lena Wertmuller collection, 3 films on Blu-ray from Kino, previously on DVD, The Seduction of Mimi, All Screwed Up, and Love and Anarchy. Lena Wertmuller is one of the great all-time female directors, and I say that not kind of condescendingly as if she couldn't compete with men, but because she is significant as the first woman who ever received an Academy Award nomination for Best Director. Lena Wertmuller, despite the German sound of the name, is actually an Italian filmmaker. And her films are wonderful, kind of bittersweet slice-of-life movies. They have a very 60s feel to them, kind of cutting somewhere across Bergman and Antonioni, and a little bit more commercial, a little bit of Fassbender in there as well. She really is just terrific. She represents the best of Italian filmmaking at the time in the 70s. And all 3 of these are absolutely worth getting. Not really much by way of extras here, but, stills, and there's a trailer on one of them. But you want to check out all of these. They are absolutely sensational. Once again, that is the Lena Wertmuller collection on Blu-ray from Kino, All Screwed Up, The Seduction of Mimi, and Love and Anarchy, which features just a terrific performance by Giancarlo Giannini. And then we also have the Academy Award nominated In Darkness, which I think is Agnieszka Holland's return to great filmmaking. Previously, she was nominated for Europa, a foreign language film category. Then she had a horrible Hollywood career doing all kinds of junk that was just not worth it. In Darkness is basically Schindler's List in the sewers, and it's outstanding. It's a Polish language film with a little bit of German, and it's just incredibly outstanding. I was so deeply moved by this film. It's on Blu-ray. It is a gorgeous film on Blu-ray. Just because it takes place in the sewers of Warsaw, forget about it. It's great. I mean, it looks incredible. The lighting in those sewers. She shot this thing on the red, by the way. So it is custom tailored.
You don't need a lot of lighting to
capture
an image on a red.
No, you don't. And it transfers to Blu-ray fabulously, beautifully well.
And I'll tell you, and what I loved about In Darkness, which is a great film, is that in the movie, the Jews who hide out in the sewer, they're not like these saintly figures who need to
No.
be saved. Some of them are like kind of like morally compromised.
Absolutely.
And that just makes the whole thing way more interesting.
Absolutely, and you get some great features here that deal with Agnieszka Holland. No commentary, but kind of interview stuff. My Afternoons with Marguerite is along with Oranges and Sunshine. These are two releases now from the Cohen Media Group, which is releasing its first titles independently. Cohen Media has kind of come on the scene recently in a rather big way as kind of a new independent distributor. So I welcome them. I like the fact that they're taking a very aggressive approach in terms of marketing their Blu-rays. Their Blu-rays come in a Blu-ray keep case, but it's clear plastic, and they have a Cohen Media Group border on it, which is this very pronounced red border around the artwork of the films to establish it as a brand, and I think that's really, really smart. So I'm glad they're doing this. My Afternoons with Marguerite is a sweet French comedy with Gérard Depardieu and this lovely old lady named Giselle Casadessus. And it's definitely worth checking out. I don't think it's the best thing that Depardieu has done in the last 5 or 6 years, but it really is. I think it's great. I think it's a terrifically sweet movie about a curmudgeon and this little old lady. And then Oranges and Sunshine is not a foreign language film. I mention it only because it's part of the Cohen Media Group thing here. It definitely worth checking out. Emily Watson, Hugo Weaving, and David Wenham. 3 great actors, not at their very, very best here. Again, Cohen Media Group is kind of picking up films that other people are not picking up because they can afford them and because others have probably passed. So they're getting bargains, but they're not bad bargains. They're good films. I'd say they're maybe sort of A- and B+ films. And this deals with the deportation of children from the United Kingdom to Australia, which is this horrible, horrible event that it's part of history, and it's something that's never really been dealt with in films. And it's definitely worth checking out. Emily Watson, always a wonderful actress. Feels sometimes a little bit more like a TV movie, but, it is what it is. And yes, sir.
Who's going next, Wade?
I got 2 more.
Okay, fine.
Got 2 more just to blow through. Nuri Bilge Ceylan is he's kind of like the Turkish Ingmar Bergman. This is not his best film, Once Upon a Time in Anatolia, but a lot of people think it's his best.
People love this film.
People went crazy with this. I don't think this is his best film by a long shot, but it won the grand prize at Cannes, so who am I to judge? It's on Blu-ray. It's gorgeous looking. I just wish it weren't so much of a kind of genre piece. It feels almost more like one of those Romanian movies that I can't stand.
I haven't. You know what? One of those films have not made it to the United States in the last 2 years.
No, police. It has a little bit
all
more.
All those Christian Mangu films, whatever the guy's name is.
Yeah. Well, he has a new one at Cannes that did big deal.
That's
going to come.
That'll come.
Yeah.
Okay,
Kristen Mungiu's film. Anyway, this feels a little bit like a companion film to Police Adjective. I could have done with something a little bit brisker, but that being said, it is beautiful to look at, and the Blu-ray transfer is first rate. And then last, but definitely not least, is the Academy Award-nominated Bullhead, which is another outstanding release from Draft House. They are releasing their own stuff as well, as is Cohen, and this is a Blu-ray and a DVD. They are also going with the clear plastic motif, which is apparently now the motif that tells you this is a quality foreign language film. Bullhead is a remarkable movie with not as good as the trailer, but it's certainly a great movie about the illegal black market hormone beef trade in Belgium, and you just go, really? That's a thing? They made a movie about that? Believe it or not, it's like it's a mafia movie. It's a crime film. It just happens that they're not dealing in prostitution or drugs or whatever. They're dealing in black market hormone injected beef. And the story of the guy that this is basically about, who injects himself with steroids for reasons that I cannot tell you, is gut wrenching. This is one of the most tragic stories of a single individual you will ever see. It is gut-wrenching. This is such a great film. I cannot recommend it highly enough.
No, you can recommend it highly enough. You can if you wanted to.
All right, Mark, your turn.
Well, from beef hormones to just plain beef, we have from Disney Home on the Range. Home on the Range is from 2004, and at the time, it was announced as Disney's last traditionally animated film, because Disney wanted to go all CGI. So Home on the Range was the end of traditional animation for Disney until, of course, The Princess and the Frog, which I liked a lot. I thought Princess and the Frog was terrific.
I really like Princess and the Frog.
I liked that. I thought the songs were great. I was totally into it. Home on the Range, it's a bit of a middling Disney film. not all that great. Didn't do all that great. It's got a good voice cast, like all the Disney films do. Roseanne, Judi Dench, Jennifer Tilly, Cuba Gooding Jr. So, it's good stuff. But I just think it's a bit, it's just way too middle of the road, way too formulaic, and it just didn't really pop like previous Disney films, and of course pop like the Pixar films. When it comes to a complete and utter misfire, we have from 2002 Treasure Planet. Now, this is the 10th anniversary of Treasure Planet, which I guess means something to somebody because it's really the 10th anniversary of a bomb.
Yep.
Now, Disney, they've had their
I didn't mind
bombs.
this film. It's a bomb and it's a misfire, but I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay.
You know what? It was nominated for the Best Animated Feature Oscar, so can't beat that. Anyway, this is basically Treasure Island in space. Jeffrey Katzenberg famously didn't really like this film. He didn't really see any hope in it, but you know what? He wound up getting sold on it, and he wound up greenlighting it. It cost a lot of money, made very little money, and ultimately it's just not... it just didn't seem like... It just... You know what? It's like nobody cares about Treasure Island. No one remembers it. So why even do that? Just make your own thing.
I'm not arguing.
It was kind of listless, and it just seemed very clumsy, and it just seemed very mercenary, which is weird because it's mercenary for a property that nobody really cares about anymore. Kids don't know Treasure Island, and the parents don't know Treasure. Nobody knows Treasure Island anymore. It's like it's done. So anyway, this is not that great. However, the Blu-ray is okay. It includes the Blu-ray and, of course, the DVD. There's a visual commentary, some deleted scenes, which are kind of fun. Music videos, who cares? And that is pretty much Treasure Planet. There are plenty of other Disney films you could be renting than Treasure Planet.
Indeed, indeed. And we're going to end the show on, last but not least, the one, the only, the fantastic Barbarella, which is being remade by Nicholas Winding Refn, isn't it, Mark? Isn't he redoing Barbarella?
He's been circling that. Is he actually doing it?
I don't know, but I know he wants to. Anyway, Jane Fonda starred for her then-husband Roger Vadim in this utterly weird, tweaked, twisted, and incredibly brilliant and memorable, bizarre science fiction, erotic fantasy film. There's a lot of stuff from the era that it kind of plugs into this. It's sort of right in there with the whole groovy Haight-Ashbury spy motif thing that we get, and it spans things like Fathom with Raquel Welch to Danger Diabolique, and you get it. There's a whole genre of these things. Anyway, and Roman Coppola, by the way, who co-wrote Moonrise Kingdom with Wes Anderson. Remember his CQ? The whole kind of female spy thing in CQ, Dragonfly, is very much inspired by Barbarella. So, or at least partially. Anyway, she's in outer space, and she's how the hell else?
It's really hard to
you just can't describe
this
film. You got to see this film.
This is a classic cult film of the time.
It's just
it is incredibly.
So weird.
It's very sexual. It's very trippy.
It's trippy. Trippy is a way to put it for sure. John Philip Law is the blonde-haired stud opposite Jane Fonda's sexy vixen Barbarella.
It's a TV series. Refn's going to do a TV series.
That's what it is. Well, anyway, it's a one-of-a-kind film. Unfortunately, there are no extras on this Blu-ray, and that's very disappointing. There were no extras on the original DVD, and Paramount really gypped us, and everybody was thinking when they finally do a special edition of Barbarella on Blu-ray, they're going to go to town. They did not go to town. All they have is some kind of a travel contest that you can enter as part of this, which is bogus. This should have had really great extras. They needed a commentary on this, and I'm going to take Paramount to task. We would have done a commentary on Barbarella, for crying out loud.
Oh, are you kidding?
Oh, give me a
awesome.
break.
You mean
nuts.
Andy Klein. You mean Andy Klein.
Damn right. The one thing that is worth noting for film nerds is the screenplay for this was written by Mark Terry Southern.
Terry Southern, who of course Dr. Strangelove and wrote a lot for Kubrick.
One of the great, brilliant, eccentric screenwriters of all time. So anyway, there you go. It's Barbarella on Blu-ray, and with that, Mark, we are done. We will see you guys next week, and if you want to send us any VoxBox recordings or emails, hit us at gods@digigods.com.
And don't forget, Wade.
Uh-oh.
The Ice Cream Scoop giveaway. Be number 5. Put Ice Cream Scoop in the subject line. Put your name and address in the body of the email, and you're going to win a worthless plastic ice cream scoop that will break the first time you use it.
From the movie? That guy who kills people movie with Kevin Corrigan.
The movie's called Some Guy Who Kills People.
Kevin Corrigan. You'll be a hit with all the neighborhood kids.